Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you how I changed my patio from what it was before to what it is now. If you're interested, watch the full video and give it a like for YouTube to recommend it. Well, this is what the patio looked like when I started remodeling it, let's say. It was full of things that I had been accumulating for a long time. Many things from the van or the carting or the projects that I was doing were left there. Besides, I had this gazebo that I had put up as a temporary roof that became not so temporary. But, well, it was all broken. My cousin helped me to remove it. We threw it directly because the legs were broken. And I started to remove many of the projects that I had somewhat abandoned from the channel, like, for example, the carting. And I stored them in a place that wasn't my yard because they were taking up too much space and it wasn't worth it. And we started slowly, to clean everything. Let's say we removed the grill that was all rusted and we threw it away. We removed a lot of things that I had there thrown away that I was not going to use or that were not useful to me, and we also threw them away. We cleaned the walls. We gave it hydro glue. We cleaned absolutely more or less everything that could be cleaned, more than anything. And once we had more or less our clean yard, we could start working to remodel it. The first thing I started with was to make the pergola, because it was the biggest job, I think. So first I fixed the two anchors where I was going to put the two columns, the two legs. With this, a chisel and a mass, I started to break the floor. This is nothing more than patience and is to be breaking and chipping the floor. And I used some metal anchors which ensure that the column does not touch the floor. All of this is good because this way the column will not get moisture and can last any number of years. The columns I used were pine columns. They are several columns glued together. I think they make, the column itself, they are 6 by 6 inches. Quite thick, I would say. Perhaps if I had to do it again, I would have chosen the ones that follow, which I think are 5 by 5, which are a bit thinner, even it would have looked good and it would have been cheaper for me. In my head, planning a 6 by 6 seemed like a good idea and it turned out well, so I don't regret it at all. But if you're going to do it, it can be 5 by 5 or even 4 by 4. I used quick cement, and what I did was fill the holes that I had used to measure my column base with cement. I put the base and made a hole on top of the base so that the encapsulated air can come out. Then I leveled a bit the cement and measured with the level the column already in place to see that it is straight, which is more or less the most important thing when facing any project, that it is done in square, that for me the columns were quite difficult to handle because they weighed quite a bit. But, it is also a matter of patience. You take it little by little. This one cost me a bit more because I just had the tree there. And, it doesn't matter. I put it anyway. Then I checked again that it is straight. If it is not straight, you hit it from the opposite side until you see that the level gives that it is straight, and that's it. Once this is done, the second thing was to put the anchors of the braces. I could have embedded the braces in the wall, but it was going to be a weird mess for that. They sell some metal anchors that you simply screw them to the wall wherever you want. They go with screw and plug, and that's it. Then you put the column there or the brace or whatever you are going to use, and it is already set. You don't have to do anything. Any other mess or anything like that. I haven't put the columns yet. I just measured, where each of these anchors was going to go, and I screwed them all in. So they are ready for when I put the T, the other column that would be the rest of all the braces. Anyway, we're going to see it later on. When everything is straight, you mark it and screw it in. You can use screws or anything. I use threaded bolts, which is the most advisable to work with. With this, because I can also give it with the impact and they go in super easy. I marked the columns with a level where it was straight in relation to the supports I had put for the braces on the wall, and then I cut them. I used the jigsaw because I had nothing else to cut them with. I had the circular saw, but it didn't give me the saw to cut everything. So, the jigsaw and a very long saw, and that's it. And then, as I was telling you, we have to put the column where all the braces are going to rest. This was the hardest part of all because that column you see there weighs about 50 kilos or so. It's very heavy and I had to lift it, climb up, a ladder and then put it up there. The truth is that this would have been much easier with two people, but at that moment I had no one to help me. So I had to put it up alone, and I was able to do it. I didn't have any major problems, but it was hard. It took me quite a bit to lift it up there. And, well, maybe if I had to do it again, I would wait for someone to be able to help me. But as I am always so anxious about everything, well, I couldn't wait. And, well, I also screwed the column in the same way with these bolts. I used some metal tees that they sell for this, so this is never going to come out again. And I was putting one by one the braces on the track that we just put this. I did it by anchoring them to the anchors that I already had on the wall. I mean, I already had it measured, and then making sure they are straight, I left them in their fixed position. Here I could use the disc. As you can see, this is not so thick and the blade was enough. So I used it to cut the excess of the braces. It's worth mentioning that the braces are 4.5 meters long. These are perhaps a bit more expensive, but I didn't feel like buying smaller braces and joining them because it was going to be extra work and it wasn't going to look as good. I mean, it was going to have joints, and the truth is I didn't like it. And then I started to varnish everything. These are the things that I like the least. Painting and varnishing are the things that I like the least and that I always try to avoid, but well, it has to be done. I also put up a garland of these bar type ones that are in fashion now, every 60 centimeters. Well, a lamp holder and a 4-watt LED bulb, I think they are. They are very dim, but they gave a very nice touch. So I bought them, I started to assemble them all, and I placed them there on the pergola. I didn't kill myself too much to place them either. Simply with one of these staplers, I was giving it between the beams, let's say. And it turned out quite well. I mean, this doesn't come out. Let's agree that the weight of these bulbs is very little. Besides, the bulbs are plastic. It's very little. Then I had a lamp of this Philips hue that had broken a long time ago. I had it stored because all the glass had broken, and I decided to use it to make a relay that is controlled by the app. I soldered 2 pins on 2 outputs of the LED, and I checked that when you turn it on. This receives some current. With that current, I used it to turn on a relay. Although what you're seeing is a very rudimentary circuit, then I added some converters for protection. But it worked, then we'll see it later. I started to remove these fake leaves that I had, which did not go with the new decoration, let's say. And I tried to clean the grid as best I could since I was going to paint it. That fabric you see is from the neighbor's house and I couldn't touch it, so I left it like that. It was unwashable, but I would cover it anyway, so I didn't mind. I started to paint the gate. This is also something I hate to paint. But well, these are things that need to be done. As you can see, I'm painting over the rust. Before you comment, it's a special paint that is a rust converter. That is, you can paint over the rust. It stops new rust from forming. And also, it doesn't come off, so it's like an all-in-one. I bought this specifically so I wouldn't have to sand the entire gate and then repaint it. Then I passed it. This is like a plastic mesh that you alternate between the gate, and it looks very nice. I was actually going to put a tarp, but I saw this and I liked it more, so I left it and started to make the deck. I made the deck first by making a base with wooden slats that I varnished just like that. I mean, they were very poorly varnished, but since this was not going to be seen, it was just for protection, I varnished them as best I could. Also, the bottom part of the deck is not the same color as I'm going to use on the top part. But since I had a 4-liter can and I wasn't going to use it for anything else, it was much more convenient for me to varnish it on the bottom part that wasn't going to be seen with this 4-liter can. And I screwed all the sleepers to the floor where the deck is going to rest. The deck can't be placed directly on the floor as it would start to accumulate a lot of grime and dirt and leaves and everything. The deck has to be slightly suspended in the air so that all the dirt and water and everything can pass underneath and drain. This is very important. Once all the deck sleepers were screwed in, I started to place all the boards. I screwed them in with a 5mm separation. I used a metal rod that was 5 or 6 millimeters. I don't remember. But, well, between 5 and 8 millimeters we're going to put, and 0.315 inches we're going to put, so they all have the same separation. And I started to screw them all in. In total, I used 6 square meters of deck. And it was just enough. I was going to buy another box, but in the end, I didn't because it would have been too much. And then with a laser level, I checked to cut it all nice and straight, so it doesn't look bad. And at the tip, I made a curve. As you see, let's say it's not a curve, but, well, I can't remember the name. You know what I mean? So that right there is the door, and I thought it looked much better. Otherwise, the deck was going to end right in the middle of the door, and it was going to look kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. I didn't like it much. And now I started to sand the deck, the top part, the final part, the part that is going to be seen, and I painted it with a varnish that this time is not water-based like the other one, but is a conventional varnish with water. So it's one hand with turpentine and then two pure hands, and it gives, I think, a better touch. It's a kind of a darker oak color. I really liked how it turned out, although the drying was quite. But, well, I liked it. With the leftover sand I made, well, little planters, some other decoration. After all, that sand was left over and I was going to throw it away. So as not to waste it. And everything that was left, the other thing, I filled it with these white stones. They are stones. I don't know the name. But they are, I think, marble. They were also very cheap. They were about $2 or between $2 and $3. Imagine, I used a total of 400 kilos of stones, almost half a ton. That includes a 20-kilo bag. These stones were inexpensive, but turned out great. They seemed like the best choice for this situation. We lowered the chairs we had on the terrace, which you can see in my early videos. I already owned them, so there was no additional cost. Keep the deck pieces as they're handy for a barbecue. I nearly discarded them, but decided to keep the pine wood. They light up really fast, so if you do it, keep all the pieces. Then I added some decorations, like these pots with reeds, which are for decoration, or a little Buddha fountain. The thing to put the hose nonsense that looked nice, and since we are at the dance, let's do it right. We're going to make it as good as possible. I also put these wires that might look a bit ugly. I mean, if you see it, you'd say some wires, but they're for the plants to grow over. It's good because when the plants grow, it won't be visible. And it will end up like a little roof. It's going to be good. And here, I used a leftover piece of wood to make this little table we're going to put, which serves the purpose of protecting the grill from the rain. It also serves another purpose when using the grill. A small table can be used to hold the meat and other items. And the places that were left without a plant, let's say, I covered them with this artificial plant. I don't like artificial plants, but well, so it doesn't look inside. I covered it with that, and here I had to give this curve in the pergola because the neighbor didn't want me to screw anything into her house. So, well, I had to give it that curve and screw it into mine. In case you're wondering, the plants I have are this Santa Rita. I have a banana tree that actually gives bananas, although I never got to eat any, but well, it gives bananas. And I have this tree, which is a Polonia tomentosa tree, or also called kiri, which is a tree that grows very fast. I planted it a year and a half ago. It's already about 8 meters, something like that. It grows very fast. It grows almost 6 meters per year. And this year it has to flower. So I'm happy, and I think it looks very good. I mean, I like the plant. The tree looks very good. And this is how my finished patio looks. Obviously, it needs a type of roof for the pergola, which is a Roman type roof, which I'm going to make with a fabric. And I'm going to make it automatic with a motor, and it opens and closes with Arduino. But we'll leave that for another video. It also looks very nice at night. I'm going to put some videos also at night with the lights and everything. And well, I'm going to tell you to comment on what you thought, to comment on what you would do or what you would change. And maybe if it's useful for something, or if you use any idea from this video, also put it in the comments. It's good to read when what one does is useful to another. And well, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video if you liked it. That way YouTube helps me recommend it. And activate the bell, that's also important. See you in another video. Bye.